Today we're going to be replacing the water pump on a 2011 Buick Lucerne with the 3900 motor. This is the same process on other GM vehicles that have the 3500 and the 3900, whether it's Impala or G6. There's various other GM vehicles that share the same motor. It's the exact same process. To get started, we first need to loosen up our serpentine belt. So if you come back here on the back side of the motor, here's your tensioner. So this little hole right here, you can insert your 3/8 ratchet, or in my case, I'm going to be using this gear wrench serpentine belt tool, and I'll put a link in the description. This thing's came in handy over the years, but essentially all you have to do is insert this in here. You can rotate your tensioner back, and that'll allow you to loosen up that serpentine belt. And you don't need to remove it all the way, just loosen it up like that, just so you can get that belt off our water pump pulley down there. Then we'll move on to draining the coolant. To drain the coolant on this 3.9, GM wants you to disconnect this radiator hose. Now, you can probably just disconnect it up here. They say in the manual to disconnect the one on the bottom, but this one's a lot easier to get to. So we'll just disconnect that with the hose pliers here, then just make sure you have something underneath to collect all this coolant. Then once you get that clamp released, just push it out of the way. Then we're going to pry this hose off of the block here. And if you're curious on what I use there, this is just a gear wrench hose removal tool, and it works good because it can slide in the back of that hose there and break that seal loose. And I'll put links in the description to all these tools that I use here. Then we'll go ahead and we'll slide this hose off of the end. Alright, now that we have that drained, we'll go ahead and we'll remove these pulley bolts, and these are just going to be a 10 mil. Now, depending on what you're using here, sometimes these are easier to remove with the belt on there, but I'm just going to be using a little impact here, and I'm going to zip them off. But if you have it loose like this, what you can do is have a ratchet over here and have one over here, and just have that side hold it in place while you loosen up the other one. Then the last one can be kind of tricky because you have the other three all loosened up. And what you can try is put a wrench or something right here and try to use that as some leverage to prevent that from moving. And I do have a water pump holder as well that it just goes around those bolts and it will help in this. But I'll try to show you how you can do this if you don't have that tool. And I did just use a little Milwaukee impact on the bottom there just to kind of help speed the process up here. But you can get it off with the ratchet as well. And once you get all of those loosened up, then we'll remove this pulley. Then remove the 5 13 mil bolts holding the water pump on. And after you get those removed, you should be able to just gently tap this and it should pop off of there. And make sure you also remove this old gasket. Then go through here and make sure you clean up all of this mating surface here. And after you get that cleaned off, we'll install our new one. And just make sure when you're doing this to get a water pump that has this metal gasket. Those paper ones are always prone to leaking. Then we'll gently set this in place here. Then after you get all those hand tightened on there, we'll torque those to 18 foot-pounds. Alright, so there's the 18 foot-pounds on all 5 of those. So then we'll go ahead and we'll attach the pulley. And we're going to do the same thing on that. That one's going to be 18 foot-pounds. After you get those on there and tightened as best you can, we'll do the final 18 foot-pounds of torque once we get the belt on, because it'll help hold that pulley in place. We'll move on to installing our hose here. So just slide it back on there, pull that hose clamp up, and just make sure it snaps in place. Alright, so once you have that seated on there and it's tight, then we'll go ahead and we'll put the drive belt back on. Moving on to the drive belt, once you have it wrapped around your pulleys and it's sitting here tight, then we'll insert our tool back here on our tensioner. And just make sure it's fully seated around the grooves on each one of these pulleys. Then you're done with the drive belt. Then after you get the drive belt on there, then just snug up these pulley bolts. And that belt should hold it in place enough in order to get these snugged up. And these are only 18 foot-pounds, so you don't have to get these super tight here. Alright, so that should be good enough. Alright, so then the last thing we need to do here is just fill this up with coolant. And just make sure you're using an approved GM Dexcool when you do this. Then there's 2 different GM approved ways to fill this up with the coolant. Either you can do the vacuum fill or the static fill. At home, I'm assuming you're just going to be doing the static fill because the vacuum fill requires some tools. And all you have to do here is just open up that surge tank over there. And you're going to put a mixture of the 50/50 Dexcool that we have. And you're going to get it all the way to the top where it says cold on that tank. Then you're going to close the cap, turn the engine on, and let it idle for about 2 minutes. Occasionally raise the throttle to around 3,000 RPMs. After a couple of minutes, turn the engine off, and then you're going to let the engine cool. Then just keep checking your reservoir. And you're going to see that that reservoir will keep going down. Just keep doing that until that reservoir maintains in there, and that's how you know you got the right amount of coolant in your vehicle. So hopefully this video helped you out if you're curious on what you had to do to service not only your GM 3900 but also the 3500. It has this very similar water pump up front and the same process. So if you're curious on how you can service your water pump at home, hopefully this video helped you out. If it did, please give me the thumbs up. If you're interested in more content like this, please hit that subscribe. But again, I hope this helped you out. Thanks for watching.